I tried to go to sleep. Oh man, I don't know. I'm trying to see the time, but my phone's not letting me do it. It's probably around 1 o'clock in the morning. I tried to go to sleep and I just can't. Can't stop thinking about this dying marriage. I don't know what to do. The more I think about how wrong I was about our relationship and about her, the more I want to make it right, the more I want to get her back. She thinks I'm playing games with her now. She thinks that I'm trying to manipulate her, and she thinks I'm a narcissist. For a while, so did I, because of certain behaviors that were very narcissistic. I have ADHD, and unfortunately, in relationships, a lot of the traits that you see in narcissism are present in people with ADHD. The love bombing. Love bombing happens with people with ADHD. And the thing is, there's a big difference. With narcissists, they love bomb you to hook you. They want you. They're going to get you. They're going to hook you like you're a fish. And then after they've got you, they're going to slowly withdraw affection. They're going to increase their criticism, which, by the way, the increase of criticism is something else that people with ADHD do, and that's something I'll explain later. But narcissists will increase their criticism of you. It'll get to the point where it'll feel like there's nothing you can do that's ever good enough. And people with ADHD and autism will both do that. Everybody exhibits narcissistic traits. Not everybody who exhibits narcissistic traits is a narcissist. So people with ADHD, the love bombing actually comes from a form of hyperfocus. It's like starting a new hobby, and I really don't want to compare a relationship to something like that, but I gotta help you understand it somehow. But when you have ADHD, you get in this relationship with somebody, and they're new, they're exciting, someone you've never experienced before. At least in that way. I mean, you could have been friends with them before. We were. And you just absolutely shower them with affection. You drown them with it. One of the complaints that she had was that I pushed her to move in with me. In truth, that isn't entirely true. I asked her if she would move in with me. She said that she told my mom that I said that if she didn't move in with me, that she didn't love me. And I'm going to chalk that up to misunderstanding, because I didn't actually say that. But there was another point at which I said that about something else. It's entirely possible she's getting the two mixed up. And I'll get into that other one in a little bit. But I told her she didn't have to move in with me. I told her I wanted her to. It's because I wanted her to. I didn't just want to shower her with affection and enjoy her presence every couple of days. I wanted to do that every day for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, I messed that up even long before this whole divorce situation. She complains that I pushed her into marriage, and I kind of did. I have to admit that. Something I kind of regret. I don't remember how long it was. After a couple of weeks of us dating, probably, I just knew that was her. She was the one I wanted. And I know some of you with sharper minds probably thinking, well, if she's the one you wanted, why'd you cheat on her? I'll get into that later. I won't say there's a legitimate reason, but there's at least a tangible reason? I don't know. I can't think of a better word. Too tired for that. Anyway, so I worked to get a ring. I ended up changing a guy's radiator for a ring he had for her, and it ended up being the exact size for her finger. I call that providence, but I don't know. At this point, I don't think she would agree with that. After 3 months of us dating, I finally proposed to her. I know, 3 months is pretty fast. Most men know within a few months. I knew within a couple of weeks. This is the part where she kind of got confused. Or I suspect she got confused. She told me, or I told her. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. One day she asked me if she had said no, would I have married her? Or would I have still dated her? I told her no. She said, why? Of course, she was a little offended at that, which I suppose I can understand. And I told her, I don't date to date, I date to marry. And that's the point of dating. It's not to have some casual fling to enjoy somebody's company for a short time. If you want to do that, go hire a prostitute. Otherwise, you date to marry. She also told my mom that I'd had the same reaction if she wanted to wait a little longer. It could be my failing memory, but I don't remember that question ever coming up. And honestly, if she had told me that, yes, she does, but she wants to wait a little longer till other things are settled, I might have waited. I wanted her. I really did. I didn't tell her near enough, but I always thought she was pretty. I always thought she was beautiful. I always thought she was attractive. Oh, a side note. The part of her body that I loved the most. Because there's always that question, you talk to your spouse and, well, what part of my body do you love the most? And it turns out to be the part of her body that she's most insecure about. And me touching that part of her body made her more insecure. And would you believe it actually hurt me to know that? Because then I had to battle with, well, I want to touch her like that. But it makes her feel bad if I do. But that is my favorite part of her body. But she hates it the most. Even now, after 16 years and practically begging her to take me back, I still don't know what to do with that. Anyway, we ended up getting married after 6 months of being together. which I admit was kind of fast. Maybe we should have waited a couple of years. Now, sometimes something does happen with people with ADHD where they withdraw affection after the love bombing stage ends. Okay, with narcissists, it's so that they can trauma bond you. So they get you hooked with the love bombing, then they start to withdraw affection, increase their criticism. What that does is it's twofold. It makes the good times look better, because there are good times even after all the abuse. It makes the good times look better, and the good times make the bad times look not as bad. So it ends up being this vicious cycle, and it's called a trauma bond for a reason. Okay, with people with ADHD, it is literally the burn off of that hyper focus. So I didn't withdraw my affection toward her, at least not in those days. I shouldn't have at all. I did the last few months of our relationship, and I deeply regret it. Anyway, but I did increase my criticism. Now, this is another thing with people with ADHD. So, ADHD is not just being hyper and having an inability to sit still at a table. It's It's an emotional dysregulation condition, and it's a the words will come to me in a minute. Sensory processing condition. Okay. One of the symptoms of ADHD is it's like a form of stubbornness, but it's not intentional. It's very similar to people with autism who are very averse to change. Where you have your routine, you have your system, you have your ideas about how things are supposed to go, and if anything deviates even the tiniest bit, you automatically go into sensory overload. Autistic people do it, people with ADHD do it. I didn't realize how much I didn't actually know about my own condition until about, I won't even say 3 years ago, until about a year and a half ago. There is so much that I've learned in the last year and a half. That's weird. I hear an ambulance out in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, so that's what I did. I started criticizing her more because honestly, I just couldn't understand why this was this way, that was that way, because it wasn't the way my mind pictured it. Very similar to the stubbornness of autism, which is, again, it's not intentional. It's not, oh, well, I don't like the way you think, so I'm just going to be like this. It's, you just can't perceive it any other way. It has nothing to do with intelligence, has nothing to do with mental agility. It's literally a condition that will not allow you to see something any other way than it looks. My wife wants to, man, I want to call her my wife so bad. I'm going to keep calling her my wife. We're still legally married. And when she told me she wanted a divorce, I said something really stupid to her. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I told her, and this was a few conversations after she told me she wanted a divorce, I told her that I don't want her back because the moment she told me she wanted a divorce, she was no longer my wife. She told me that's how she felt about me cheating. And honestly, between the two, hers is more valid. I feel so stupid. Anyway, get off that topic so I don't fall apart on camera. What was I talking about before that? Oh yeah, so that whole ADHD stubbornness thing, the inability to see things any way other than they are. Okay, so that actually continued on to about 3 weeks. No, 4 weeks. Almost 4 weeks. After she told me she wanted a divorce. And then I realized after reading some messages between her and my mom, and now between her and a friend of mine that I've had for ages, that was still a problem. There are things in me I can't get rid of. So if I can't get rid of them, what do? I see if I can use them to my advantage. If I can't do that, then I make myself aware of what it looks like when I do those things, when I get into those mindsets. And what I do is I regulate myself. I start to feel an episode coming on where I just want to start hammering down and hunkering down on this one subject that's already heated. And usually I can't move away from that subject until it is completely resolved. And so we'll sit there and we'll argue for days on end because I can't make myself let it go because it's an incomplete thing. That's part of the whole ADHD stubbornness, autism stubbornness. That's the same thing. They do the same thing. Anyway, my wife always wanted to color her hair, which she did a few times, and she admitted she did it to spite me. And that always came after an episode of us fighting heavily and me saying mean things. She said mean things too, but I don't even care about that now. I need to fix this. Anyway, she always wanted at least one tattoo and one piercing. Now I actually have an issue with all three. The hair color, it's not natural hair color. It's not what her hair color was supposed to be. It's hard for me to reconcile that. And honestly, my opinion is you shouldn't unnaturally change things that God gave you, like putting holes in it so you can put pieces of metal in, or putting ink in your skin to make a picture that wasn't there naturally, and changing your hair to colors that your hair didn't already come with. But I also feel the same way about cutting your hair. That's why I have all this and all that. And yeah, this is 14 years of growth. My hair didn't grow very long. Anyway. But one of the biggest reasons was she won't look like her anymore. Her skin will be covered in at least one tattoo. I loved her skin. It was a little soft, frail, easily cut. She had cellulite. Now, she'd probably get mad at me for saying that one, but I don't care. She's overweight, and I still don't care. I never married her for her body. I married her because I loved her. Didn't marry her for her academic accomplishments, who her family was. Didn't marry her because she looked like a model or some nonsense. I felt a connection with her that instantly drew me in. and made me love her. That's why. I liked her skin. I liked her hair. I liked being able to play with her ears and her lips and her nose. I fear that I'll never be able to do that again. I miss her so much. So that stubbornness was part of her complaint. She felt like I was trying to control her. And everybody has standards, and everybody has the right to have standards. Everybody has the right to leave if they don't meet that other person's standards. I can't apologize to her enough. I'll gladly accept whatever tattoo she puts on her body if I can have her again. I would gladly let her change her hair to whatever unnatural color she decides if I could just have her again. I would gladly manage hardware in her skin if I could just have her again. I want to hold her. I want to hug her. I want to kiss her. Anyway, let's get to the cheating part. I've already unveiled a couple of intimate things here. Anyway, the cheating didn't start with talking to women. It didn't start with touching women or anything like that. It started with begging her to give me affection and not getting it. Now, I understand her mental state now. Why it was so hard for her. She was going through a lot. And I was putting her through a lot, and I didn't really give a solid ear to everything. Something else I have to apologize for. Anyway, it started with just begging her for attention, and when she said no enough times, because I stayed loyal to her for a good long time after she started telling me no. And then it was the pictures. It's funny, they call weed a gateway drug, which I know it's not classified as a narcotic, but it's very much like what they're talking about when they call weed a gateway drug. So I started looking at pictures. And I started watching videos. And then started talking to women. Then I started talking to a woman. One of my exes, of all people. I guess that's usually how it goes. Then it went further than that. And it just escalated from there. Porn for over a decade. Still talking to women. Not getting any after that, from other women. It was still hard to get any physical affection from her. And it declined over the years. Getting real light in the last, 4 or 5 years. And I cheated with specific woman one last time, and near the about halfway through 20. I think it was May. It was kind of a long-term ordeal, several weeks, maybe a couple of months, I don't know. And it wasn't just that I cheated, it was also who I cheated with, which that I don't want to go into because it's not only something I'm not proud of, but something that I really detest myself for. Anyway, after 20, whenever I was finally caught, I got worse. I didn't cheat more, but I had more sexual demands of her. Some of which she actually fulfilled, and I was so demanding and expectant that it just made things worse. Every time she showed me affection, I wanted more than just affection. And eventually it stopped. So after about 6 months of me acting stupid again, or stupider than before, I realized what I was doing. I was just compensating for my guilt by making demands. I spent the next 6 months correcting behaviors, trying to correct my mistakes and decisions, my stupidity. And I actually rid myself of a whole lot of really bad behaviors. And behaviors mostly come from perception, not from habits. It's crazy. Anyway, so for the next 2 years, I was faithful to her, wholly and completely. And I became obsessed with her also doing the same thing, apologizing, taking accountability, changing her behavior, just like I did. And that mindset escalated the fights in our relationship to the point where the last 3 months of our relationship, if we talked to each other, we fought. Maybe not knockdown, drag out, but it was just this ridiculous, loud, bothersome, tiresome, aggressive argument. It just got worse and worse and worse. The last 2 months of our relationship, we hardly spoke to each other at all. She didn't even seem to like having me around at all, which, as it turns out, she didn't. And I felt completely abandoned by her. And then she did abandon me. The last week of our relationship, she had her mom pick the kids up. Oh, I guess this is the last 2 weeks of the relationship. So Christmas Day, we had our Christmas stuff in the house. And then she had her mom pick the kids up. They were just supposed to stay a night. At least that's what I was told. I didn't see my kids until New Year's Eve. And then I didn't see them again until the 6th of January. During that time, between the 1st and the 6th, she called a lot of lawyers trying to get a divorce. And it took me forever to realize why she wanted to divorce me. Because in my mind, all I was asking for was the same thing she demanded of me. accountability. And even now it hurts to think about how she would rather throw me away than take accountability. But I'm trying to make sure that I look at the things that I am doing and have done to make it better. I feel like it might be too late, but I really, really want her to give me the opportunity to make things right, to fix it, to be her husband again. Now, I know this is a 180 from what I was saying before. Oh, stay single, she's a horrible person, women aren't worth it, blah, blah, blah. And some women aren't worth it. Some men should stay single. But what if I just loved her a little more? What if I had disregarded what I perceived as poor treatment toward me and just treated her better? Did more stuff around the house, which I did do a lot around the house, but I didn't do the important things. I would cook, wash dishes. I was a stay-at-home dad for the last year. Oh, maybe a little more than that. When did we quit? 22? Yeah, so I spent a year as a stay-at-home dad. Sometimes I feel like she resented me for that. I know we needed more than one income, but I've always felt like if one of us works and we have kids, the other one should stay home. And that was for the kid. That was for the kid's sake, not for the parent, because the kids need their parents. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, and of course before that, kids would get home from school, and if there's nobody home, they were okay. Get home, do their homework, do their chores, play. When one of the parents come home, they start dinner. Can't do that now. If my kids came home and there were no parents in the house, anybody found out, we'd lose our kids. I thought about a lot of consequences of decisions whenever I decided that one of us needed to stay home. She has the highest earning potential between the two of us. That's just how it is. She has the highest earning potential between the two of us. And so it was only logical that she was the breadwinner. And I think she resented me for that. Crap, I resented me for that. I've always had trouble making money. Get hired, do a job, always get compliments on how I do that job better than that person there. That person's making more money and started after me. I know that's a common complaint, but I just always had trouble making money. You know, it's just like this YouTube. You know, I don't even get enough views to monetize it. Can't do it. Anyway. There is a difference between withdrawing affection and withholding it. Withdrawing affection is taking away affection that was already there. Withholding affection is taking affection that wasn't there or hasn't been there for a long time and using it to make the other person comply. It's a form of manipulation. Withdrawing affection can be used as manipulation, depending on how it's being treated by the person doing it. But withdrawing affection can also be the consequence of a hurting mind. They don't actually have to be doing it to hurt you. I don't know what to do to get her back. A friend of mine told me that I should just do random acts of kindness. The way she's been expressing herself to me suggests to me that'll just make it worse. That she'll take that and say, well, this is just another attempt at manipulation. The funny thing is I've never actually manipulated. The closest I got to that, and yeah, I guess this is manipulation, but closest I got to that was lying about cheating on her. And honestly, gaslighting her whenever she almost caught me. She kind of did catch me, but I gaslit her into believing that what she saw she didn't see. And yes, that's narcissistic. I know that. But 1, 2, 3 behaviors doesn't make a narcissist. Those aren't my fallbacks. In truth, I was scared of losing her. And I lost her anyway. I did something really stupid when I was 14. She told me that if she had known about it when we got together, she never would have married me. I don't feel like that's entirely fair, but not entirely wrong either. What I did was pretty wrong. I wish I could say it was just I got arrested for stealing something from a store, but that'd be far better than what I actually did. If you figure out what it is, I hope you don't think less of me. That's a dark part of my life that I really wish I could go back and fix. There's a lot I wish I could go back and fix. Undo the bad that I did to other people. Treat my wife different. Take a different path with her. Sasser said, I want to take the path with her. I don't want to take the path separate from her. I don't want to watch her from afar, living a completely different life. I want to live that life with her. I want to live that life with her. I think it might be too late. If she could just give me one more chance. If I don't do right this time, then I'll leave her alone. But I gotta have that chance first. Sorry for the little yawning. I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning, and now it's oops. Let me fix that. I was hoping I was gonna get it's not working. I was hoping I was gonna get the time. I don't have a clock in here. Probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Maybe not. It's only been 38 minutes. Anyway, I do feel like the suggestions that my friend, she's in her 50s, she's had other relationships, and she's been trained. And I feel like because of where my wife's mental state is, I won't be able to reach her. That she'll see everything as manipulation. I apologized to her vehemently, almost pathetically. I addressed everything that I did that I could bring to mind. Apologized for each and every one. And I didn't just promise change behavior. I told her that behavior has already changed. The things that made me that way aren't even there anymore because I pushed them out. When I realized what I had done, I changed the things that put me there. I looked inside myself and said, okay, this doesn't belong. The things I couldn't get rid of, I taught myself how to work around. I'm going to have everybody yawning. And after all the apologies, she turned around and made a post saying basically I'll never be played again. Something like that. Me being played wasn't a mistake. It was a lesson. I'll never fall for again, or something like that. And she made a comment on that post that said, I'm tired of the games, or I'll never play the game again, or something like that. I'm done with these games. She really thinks I'm just trying to play with her. I'm trying to manipulate her. And really, I'm just trying to love her the way I should have in the first place. I wish I could make her see that, but I don't know how. So my friend says random acts of kindness. I'm going to try it, but I have a feeling that that's just going to get me put in jail. Make things worse. Make her hate me more. She already thinks I'm a narcissist. She already thinks that I'm manipulating her. You know, the only things I ever lied to her about were sexual things. I never lied to her about anything else. I mean, I shouldn't have lied to her in the first place. The only things I ever lied to her about were sexual things. And if she'd just give me one last chance, I'd show her that I can get better. That I can be better because I've already made the changes. I don't know what else to do. All I can do is just keep going. So take my advice. Whatever way you can make yourself do it. Go to therapy if you have to. I plan on it. I've been talking to that friend of mine. She's starting a new clinic. I'm probably getting a little too specific now. If my wife watches this, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Hopefully it doesn't strain their relationship, what relationship they do have. She doesn't really talk to any of our mutual friends anymore. She thinks that I'm turning them into flying monkeys because she thinks I'm a narcissist. Anyway, she's starting a clinic for counseling and stuff like that. She wants to recommend me a counselor, but I don't have the money. I want to talk to my wife again. See if we can come to some sort of mutually beneficial agreement. I want to try and work it out. And I really think that therapy will help. There's a lot that probably won't help that would help. Basically, things that would help the relationship, but she wouldn't see as being help, but manipulation. I don't know. I want to try. I at least want to try. I'm going to go to counseling. And as long as I'm not paying child support, I should be able to pay for it. Hopefully. Anyway, last thing I have to say is be better.